Squidgy here, demon.com. I gave a little bit of a harsh time to Iwriter a few weeks ago, and since then I've sort of gone through a bit of a learning experience and I've understood how Iwriter works, and it is an absolute bargain. I'll give you an idea. They have a star system for writers: 3-star, 4-star and 5-star. Every writer starts at 3-star. You can ask to send your articles to, for instance, Basic, which is all writers; Premium, only 4 and 5-star writers; Elite, only 4.6 to 5-star writers see your request. And it's hard to get an author to get this extra accreditation. It isn't just a case of writing a couple of articles that a client rates as 5-star. They have to be a fair bit better than that. It takes a fair bit of time. There's a minimum number of articles they have to do, and it takes a bit of effort. The other thing is the price. If you go for 1,000-word articles, Basic, $7.50 for 1,000 words, 500, which a lot of you will go for, $3 for 500-word articles. You can reject any article you don't like. You get a picture, and I'll show you how this works. You get a little picture. I can't actually. I haven't got any here that I haven't approved or whatever. But basically, they show you your article first as like a graphic. You can't click on it and copy and paste. Otherwise, obviously, you'd just be doing that all the time. But you can read it and scan through it and see if it's reasonable or not. They copyscape check every article first, and I think it's got to be at least 80%. Now, I'm not a big fan of Copyscape. Copyscape isn't anything to do with Google, and it certainly doesn't mean that Google won't flag something up as duplicate. But if it's past Copyscape at 80% and a couple of little checks, I'll take a couple of phrases out and run them through plagiarism and a couple of things like that as well. And if it reads well, which even the best Copyscape spun stuff often doesn't read as well as it should, if it reads really well, then I'll accept it. So as little as $3 per 500 words. Earlier on, I wasn't specific enough in my in what I wanted from these authors. Now, if I have a little look here and I read the project details now, I've been very specific. Have articles where it's slippery site, blah blah blah, internet business online, article at 1,000. I've gone for Premium, which is $12 for 1,000 words. But the quality I've been getting back is absolutely awesome. I'll show you how this works in a minute. So I've gone here, affiliate mark, blah blah blah, and here are the keywords. And what I've said, I've been quite specific. I've put in parenthesis what I'm looking for, what the keyword means. Down here, special instructions, I've written, please do not target any specific keywords. This must be general articles on the topic mentioned. No keyword spamming. The information in the keywords box are topics and suggested titles, not keywords. I recommend anybody goes with that. If the title has something in parentheses after it, brackets, then that is a message I'd like the article to get across. Any tone really, friendly, discursive, professional, whatever you write best. 100% unique, not spun in any form. I do not accept Copyscape past spun articles. I know how Word AI works and other high level spinning tools, so please don't use them. I sample test 3 and 5 word pieces at n-gram level and will reject spun articles whether they pass Copyscape or not. Please don't waste my time or yours with any spun articles, no matter how good you think you've spun it. I think I've slightly over-egged the pudding there, but you get my drift. Feel free to use the keywords as titles, good English only, no gibberish, repetition, bad formatting, etc. Now I've paid a fair bit there, but I could have said, right, I want 500 word articles basic, and it would have said $3 an article. I'm going to come back out of that now because I can't edit it. That project's complete. But $3 an article would have been fantastic, and the quality, if you specify your criteria tight enough, the quality is good enough to use on your site with a little bit of editing, 5 minutes of editing, perhaps just tidying it up, or with no editing at all, straight onto your first tier. So if you're building up a WordPress blog or a Tumblr blog or a live journal or whatever, or setting up some Squidoo lenses, then this content can just go straight on there. I found it is unique. I've not come across one article that I've accepted that isn't completely unique, and I go for Google author accreditation, so they accept them as unique. You can sort of tell after a week or so if they have. So they've accepted them. It is unique. It's pretty well done. If you specify your criteria tightly enough, and you mention you don't want keyword spamming, you definitely don't want copied stuff, even if it's well spun. You just don't want copied stuff at all. and you mention you don't want gibberish or repetition and stuff like that, because keyword spamming and repetition is something that does happen if you don't be very clear from the outset. And at the end of this, you can have a 500 word plus articles for $3 that is good enough, if with a bit of tinkering for your own website and with no tinkering at all, to go on your first tier. So if you sort of had a budget of $100 and you wanted to get 20,000 words written, and with a couple of hours of your own time turn that into 22,000 words with excellent website content, you can do it with something like Iwriter. And the other thing is the range of authors. I've got some favourite writers, you can check them here, and I've got ignored writers there. Some of them have progressed, but I've got my favourite writers. You get to rank each writer when they come through. You can choose to send to your list of approved writers, and they have so many varied skills and topics. That's excellent from my point of view. So if I could ask for articles to be written on just about any niche, and there's going to be 3 or 4 people vying for that work who actually understand it, they're allowed to communicate with you. I had a lovely Indian lady who had a degree in psychology, and I was doing creating some content for a client site, and I was paying $7 for 1,000 words for 3-star authors, and she ended up writing 5 or 6 pieces that were of such immensely high quality, completely over-delivered. They were 1,500 words plus. They were almost of degree standard or thesis standard. So I tipped her $10 on top of the payment, which still is not enough for the quality of work I got back. Now that's not something that's going to happen every time, but it really was an excellent situation. I've got the messages from her here actually. There we are. Sneered Sudeep. Her husband's in the armed forces apparently. I shouldn't be showing you any of that. That's private information, but that's just the sort of information, the interaction you can get from the authors. So plus points, very cheap, as little as $3 for 500 words. Plus point, you can reject any article you don't like the look of. You don't spend money on any article you don't like, and you get to see them in a readable format, if not a copy and pastable format, before you choose. Plus point, it's very quick. Sometimes I put in 20 articles to be written, and I've had all 20 completed by the next morning. Be very suspicious if you get an article back within 10 minutes, of course. That's not very likely. That could be a case of copied, I suppose, but I've not had that. Plus point as well, it all seems to be unique. The minus point, well, it's not really a minus point, it's really something to consider. As somebody who is commissioning work, do specify very clearly what you want. If you don't, you will get keyword spamming, you will get slightly inappropriate content back, you may not get the formatting that you want, you may get strange characters and things like that in there, you may get a little bit more repetition than you want. After a period of time, what I've found now, and I've now had 44 articles written. Don't know why it says 43 and 44, I've had all of them written. I now have 3 or 4 authors who've written 4 or 5 articles for me, and I know they're going to produce the goods every time. It's a good service. There are others on the market, and although I will include my affiliate link, which I'm just going to click here when I finish this video at the bottom, this is only for people who can't create their own content, or people who are writing stuff that isn't on the niche they're already knowledgeable about, because these guys will give you the knowledge. Big plus, big star, gold star. If you don't understand the topic, these guys will understand it. If it's a topic that people is generally known but is considered expert, there will be people on here who can write you very good quality and informed content. But if you can write your own, if it's your own blog, then I probably don't recommend you use an article service at all. But if you're looking to perhaps build up a network of sites, if you're looking to populate Web 2 sites with cheap but on topic and unique content, you've got like a small budget and you want 500 odd words for $3, and they will over deliver. 500 words is likely to be $520, $550, and by the time you tinkered with it, it might be closer to 600, and you want that for $3. You can get it here. There is no stigma attached to not tipping. There's no stigma attached to playing the minimum amount. Not that I've noticed. People on the message boards all play the minimum amount. I tend to, when I'm looking for 5-star authors or 4-star authors, pay 50 cents or $1 more per article. But that's entirely up to you, and I'm probably just throwing my money away for no reason there. But I do appreciate a job well done, and I think you're building up a relationship with perhaps half a dozen writers. If you were considering, for instance, having your own VA, your own virtual assistant, and I've mentioned before my VA Sue, depending on how you did it, how many articles would your VA write and what quality? You're not going to get a VA for less than $500, and here $500 could get you 160 articles written of 500 plus words each. So if you had a VA that worked 25 days a week, would they do 6-7 articles a day? If they don't know how to use speech to text, that's probably pushing it. So it's very good value, but it's only if you want it. So I've wittered on here, Scritty at demondemon.com, signing off.